This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
Hey, I'm Frank, and I have hidradenitis suppurativa, HS. Before starting Cosentyx, I was so uncomfortable with my symptoms, like not being able to sleep on white sheets or wear white clothes. Now I can appreciate the little things.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for adults with moderate to severe hidradenitis suppurativa, HS. Don't use if allergic to Cosentyx. Get checked for TB before starting. Increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like TB or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some were fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if IBD symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at 1-844-COSENTYX or Cosentyx.com.
You're stronger than HS. Ask your dermatologist about Cosentyx.
All right, thank you, Scott Shannon. Thanks to all of you for being with us. Write down our toll-free telephone number. You want to be a part of the program. It is 800-941-SEAN if you'd like to join us. We got a lot we're going to get to in the course of the program today. We're going to have some cultural issues, the difference between the Sydney Sweeney ad and the Beyonce ad. It is not uncommon for advertising agencies, for companies to pick young, attractive people, men and women, to do their ads. It's a very common practice, as a matter of fact. We'll get to all of that today. New Yorkers are latching on to a new breast milk flavored ice cream in Brooklyn. That is your city, Linda. That is the city you defend. I'm not sure what that's all about, and I'm not sure I even want to know what that's all about. I really don't. That is a bizarre, that's like the bizarre story of the day. But we got a lot of news we're going to get to in the course of things. Number one, just so you know, Pam Bondi did appoint a special counsel, a special prosecutor to handle both Letitia James and Adam Schiff. Now, the fact that Democrats weaponized the DOJ and the FBI, if you remember back in Trump's first term, he was very clear in stating that he purposely was telling people to leave a former first lady, his opponent in the 2016 presidential race, not knowing everything she was involved in manufacturing this phony Russia hoax, to not go after her, even though probably he could have. It was warranted, to be very honest. And I know why he did it. He was trying to be gracious. In retrospect, maybe a bad idea, but then I think now you just can't be selective, and everything, the law has to be applied equally to everybody. What they did to Donald Trump is very different because they went after Donald Trump on false issues they knew were false, and this is where the media is complicit in so many different ways because they went along with the lies, they went along with the conspiracy theories. They went along with all the phony narratives. They didn't want to tell the truth that the Russia hoax was fake. They didn't care about FISA abuse. They didn't care about the dirty Russian disinformation dossier. They didn't care about false valuations of Mar-a-Lago. They didn't care about the double standard rating Mar-a-Lago, but not going after the 4 locations Joe Biden had top secret classified information, or Hillary Clinton's servers that had top secret classified information. Then, of course, you have the manufactured 34 felony cases based on a novel, meaning a new, untested, not even legal, not constitutional theory that took an old issue, which was a non-disclosure agreement that was legal, paid for as a legal expense. Statute of limitations had passed and turned what was a misdemeanor into 34 felony counts. Nobody on the left cared. So in Trump's case, they manufactured it. In the case of, the people we're talking about, the evidence you do see a prima facie case as it relates to Adam Schiff claiming in paperwork, not once but numerous times, that a Maryland home that he had was his main residence, while simultaneously out in California for tax benefits and loan benefits, doing the same exact thing. I can promise you, if I did such a thing, they would come after me with a vengeance. Now, the only difference with me and Adam Schiff got his preemptive pardon. Why do I now believe that he knew that this issue was percolating out there? Why do I believe he likely went to somebody in the Biden administration, because we don't even know if Joe was with it or not with it in the final days of his administration, and tell them he really needs and wants a preemptive pardon, and he got added to the list of all the people that got it. Anyway, we now know Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, has authorized the special prosecutor to investigate allegations of mortgage fraud in the case of the congenital liar Adam Schiff and New York Attorney General Letitia James. And there will be grand juries in Maryland and in Virginia, respectively, that will investigate claims involving Schiff, involving Letitia James. Bondi named Ed Martin to serve as the special prosecutor. And early today, Bondi issued subpoenas and impaneled the grand jury as part of the criminal investigation into multiple allegations against the state of New York, according to a source familiar with the matter who requested anonymity. Breitbart reporting this week Schiff was under federal investigation for allegedly falsely falsifying mortgage documents to secure favorable home loans following a criminal referral from the Federal Housing Finance Agency to the DOJ. The FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office in Albany in New York opened non-criminal investigations into James, and it's going to be pretty interesting to watch this. And then remember, when Letitia James was running to become Attorney General in 2018, she made no secret of her plan to go after Donald Trump. It was the centerpiece of her campaign. I won't play it now. We played it many, many times. Where do you think Alan Dershowitz's book title, Get Trump, came from? And she had no evidence of any crimes, no basis to launch an investigation. It was a pretty disgraceful abuse of power. Nobody running for the position of Attorney General should run on a platform of going after one man, one family, one business, but that's exactly what she did. It's exactly what Alvin Bragg did. And she knew she could count on New York State's overwhelming Democratic judicial establishment to go along with, these legal attacks against Donald Trump, and it worked. And Letitia James won a $454 million civil judgment against Trump, claiming that he had inflated the value of his properties, to get favorable interest rates on loans. And by the way, there wasn't one lender that complained. There wasn't one lender that wasn't paid back. Everyone got their money back. In other words, this is somebody, show me the man, I'll show you the crime. There was no victim at all in this case. It was ridiculous. Now it looks like the shoe is on the other foot in this particular case, and it looks like Letitia James is about to get held accountable for what is, to me, atrocious legal misconduct. So the DOJ convening now a grand jury to investigate Letitia James, marking what is an escalation in the president's fight with his New York Attorney General. Now, I'm going to tell you something. They're going to learn something in this, because I watched the years from 20 to 2024, and I'm friends with most of the members of Donald Trump's family. I've known Eric Trump, Laura Trump. I've known Don Jr. I know Melania Trump. I know Barron Trump. I know the entire family. Who am I forgetting here? I'm forgetting one. I forgot. But anyway, the investigation is being run out of Albany, focused on possible deprivation of rights allegations. Two well-placed sources familiar with the probe. The investigation is in the early stages, and Fox News Digital has learned that James's office received subpoenas for documents this week, including for information related to her civil fraud lawsuit against Trump. And she brought that civil case against him for, quote, possible business fraud. and had an instrumental role in challenging his current administration's executive actions in court. A spokesperson for James suggested the action by the DOJ was a weaponization of its prosecutorial power. I mean, I almost laughed when I read it. Now, she began investigating the Trump organization right after she took office, eventually securing that judgment against the then former president and some of his company's executives. You know, what the left, now, what I expect Pam Bondi to do is not what they did to Donald Trump and the people around Donald Trump. I expect her to follow the law, the rule of law, use proper prosecutorial discretion and when needed. But if these allegations are true, then they've got big problems. We told you earlier in the week about banks in the country, including two of them. One is J.P. Morgan Chase, and the other was Bank of America. They were debanking Donald Trump. It's an actual process. They did it at the request of the regulatory arms of the Biden administration, and they basically threatened both companies by saying that, well, you know, from a regulatory standpoint, you might be putting your company in a category known as reputational risk. And anyway, the president decided that using an excuse like reputational risk can no longer be a reason that banks reject a customer. In the case of J.P. Morgan, and Donald Trump apparently had done business with them for nearly 40 years. And the amount of money that he had in bank accounts and different investments with them was over 100. It was hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And then after he had to get rid of that money and take it out of that bank, within 21 days, he went to the Bank of America. They wouldn't take him either because they got the same notification. And in a way, I really can't blame these banks because they're basically being told by the federal government, yeah, if you take this guy's money, we're going to ruin your business and we're going to create hundreds of millions of dollars in legal fees for you. Anyway, so President Trump ordered regulators and banks to stop shuttering accounts for politically biased reasons. It's known as debanking, and it's something that Trump and his family experienced personally. Now, I can give you a sneak peek. I know Eric Trump is writing a book about all that they did to this one family and how they weaponized everything imaginable. Later in the program, we are going to have Byron Donalds on. We have crime statistics out that show that Washington, D.C. is more dangerous than many third world capitals. You have data from the Heritage Foundation. It found 2023, D.C. had a homicide rate of 40.9 homicides per 100,000 residents, ranked the fourth worst in the nation, only behind New Orleans and St. Louis and Detroit. But by comparison, you know, you have places like Mexico City. There were only 8, not 40. 8 per 100,000. Bogota, Colombia, 14 per 100,000. Ecuador, a rate of 45 per 100,000. I mean, if you look at, Wikipedia, San Juan, Puerto Rico is safer than Washington, D.C. was by a long shot. And all these other countries, we'll give you a list of it as the program unfolds today. A 28-year-old man was caught on video attacking 2 pro-life activists outside a Planned Parenthood clinic in Baltimore, just sentenced this week to a year of home detention and 3 years probation. The Baltimore Circuit Judge rebuffed prosecutors' call for a 10-year sentence against this guy. Patrick Bryce is his name, 28, found guilty, 2 counts, second-degree assault, reckless endangerment in relation to a May 2023 incident. According to the Baltimore Banner, this was not a minor altercation between 2 parties with differing views on abortion. It was a vicious, targeted assault on 2 senior citizens whose only offense was they were praying for expectant mothers and offering life-affirming alternatives to abortion to people. That's called freedom of speech. I thought liberals celebrated that. One of the victims was knocked unconscious. The other suffered broken facial bones and a lifelong impairment. And this is what's happened to the country.
Well, you're leaving one part out. The victims were elderly. They're not
I said
like
that.
he's a young guy. It's ridiculous. He walks up. I mean, the guy's face is like a watermelon. How bad he beat him.
I mean, look at what's happening. Look at the acts of violence. Look at the mob in Cincinnati. And look at how nothing happens. Nothing ever happens. This is the most frustrating part of all of this to me. Anyway, 800-941-SEAN is our number if you want to be a part of the program. Listen, you got to protect your name, your finances, your reputation. Understand the authorities now across multiple U.S. states are warning about widespread text messages being sent to people. And the scam has it that people try to impersonate the DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles, and these texts will claim that recipients owe outstanding tolls or traffic fines, threatening license suspension or legal receipts. Recipients owe money for tolls or traffic fines, and they're threatening to suspend your license or legal action if you don't pay them. Now, these messages often include a link. They look legitimate. Why? Because the websites end in .gov. This is where LifeLock is critical to protect your name, your finances, your reputation, and LifeLock will monitor for you millions of data points every second of every day for any risk to your identity. Now, LifeLock will detect and alert you to any potential identity threat, loans taken out in your name, money being stolen, crimes committed by thieves that pretend to be you. If, God forbid, you're a victim of identity theft like my next-door neighbor was, thank God they had LifeLock, you will get a U.S.-based restoration specialist. They will fix it, guaranteed. They did it for my neighbor. They did a great job, very thorough. Anyway, right now you get 40% off your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock. Go to LifeLock.com. Use the promo code Hannity, 40% off. LifeLock, America's best identity protection. Protect your name, finances, reputation today.